Welcome to today's episode of Exceptional Living. I'm so excited about our special guest today. You know that each and every session we purpose to inform, inspire, and to ignite the greatness that lives within you. We will provide tools, strategies, and tactics from local and global thought leaders, innovators, and change agents. And today is no exception. Why? Because we want to see you equipped and empowered for credible influence, for distinguishable competency, and certainly for indelible impact. And in a world where we're conditioned to fit in, know that you, yes, you, were designed to stand out, to be exceptional, unique by design. My special guests today come all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, Charlie and Xoli Masala. Charlie Masala was born in the village of Manamani in Venda, South Africa. He's a management consultant, author, speaker, trainer, and facilitator. Topics include diversity management, leadership, transformational team building, and youth leadership development. He's the co-author of a dynamic book on managing diversity in the workplace titled Black Son, White Mother. Charlie has spoken for top organizations throughout South Africa, such as the Development Bank of Southern Africa, the South African Bureau of Standards, the National Youth Development Agency, and the International Training College in Holland. Charlie believes that all people are born different but for a specific purpose. He holds a diploma in human resources management development and an African leadership program by Thabo Mbeki. He is the managing director of Xoli Business Consulting, senior vice president of the International Third World Leadership Association, based in Nassau, Bahamas, and he is a board member of the Myles and Ruth Munroe Foundation, and is also CEO of Myles Munroe International, Africa. Charlie has traveled to over 40 countries around the world, mentored by the late Dr. Myles Munroe, and he is married to the beautiful Xoli and is the father of three daughters, Zoe, Okona, and Makaria Ruth. Xoli Masala, Lady Xoli, is a passionate events coordinator and administration specialist. Her gifts in management and administrative specialties have caused her to rise to the top in her field. Having worked with the President's Office in South Africa, she helps to organize and manage events with skill, ease, and a style that is all her own and has certainly led to high marks of engagement. She also holds degrees in public administration, public relations specialist, and is recognized as the National Department of Communications, Zoe Business Consulting and Institute for Global Dialogue. She is the acting deputy director at DPME. She is also part of the International Third World Leadership Association, which is an international organization of over 64 different nations around the world represented. She is the senior pastor along with her husband. They both serve in ministry. Charlie being the senior pastor and Zoe senior leader and first lady of Kingdom Community there in beautiful Johannesburg, South Africa, where their mandate and their purpose is to transform followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. Exceptional Living, please welcome our very special guests, Charlie and Xoli Masala, all the way from South Africa.
Oh, hello.
Hello, April.
Hello, we are so glad to have you today. I tell you, it's a wonderful thing, technology, right? That wishing I could be there, and I know wishing you could be here, but just certainly glad to have you on today. Charlie, Xoli, and you have done such amazing work, not just in South Africa, but literally in all the nations that you travel to. So we are really honored to have you part of this program today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure, April. It's a pleasure for us to be able to participate in this program. And of course, we've been part of your life for a longest of time, and your family is a wonderful family. We learned to be hospitable and hospitality from the best, the Ripleys. So we bring you greetings also from our family.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and for those who don't know, my first trip to Southern Africa, to South Africa specifically, Charlie and Xoli were our hosts, our family's hosts, and their hospitality, Charlie, I tell you, was without rival. So we thank you for, again, showing us the beauty of South Africa, the motherland, and it was certainly our honor and privilege to be there, and certainly to be in your company. And for all those that we met that knew you, spoke highly of you. So that also is a testament to the work that you're doing there in South Africa. Well, Charlie, Xoli, as you know, this show is all about exceptional living and helping people to discover themselves, their
Mhm.
purpose, but also how to live a life that is exceptional, unique by design. So, what does exceptional living mean to you?
Well, my wife is going to start. I hope her voice is going to come out because she had been challenged she had flu, so she's recovering from that. Her voice was not coming out so well, but by faith, let's do it by faith. Praise.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Dr. April, for the opportunity and the time to be with you today. Thank you for honoring us to be part of this show. Just on exceptional living, I would just say that it is all about the purpose that God has given you, the assignment that you've risen while you're on earth. That is what I can say about exceptional living. And it goes on to say that um, once you find your purpose and you know your assignment, then you know how to live your life exceptionally. You kind, your character, you do things and regard other people as highly as you are. So that's what I can say. And let me just give it to my husband so that he can continue. I'm so sorry about my voice.
Well, you have tried. Her voice couldn't come out, and now it have at least come out. But exceptional living, really, it's. I think people like yourself, April, you exemplify exceptional, living. But for in my definition, as you have asked, I think exceptional living really talks to me living my life by purpose and also by design. As we know, everybody was born to lead in the area of their gifting. God has, allowed us life, put us on the planet, and caused us and actually instruct us to have dominion over the fish of the sea, birds of the air, everything that creepeth on the ground. So that exceptional living means that you find your purpose and be the best you can be in your purpose. Whether that makes you money or it makes you wealthy or it brings a food on the table, that's another discussion. But exceptional living really means you being who God sent you on earth to be. And when you become that without even trying to compete with other people, because really there's no, as humans, we don't compete with others, we compete with ourselves because we know how we are and that we know how close we are to the target which God has set for us. So we don't really compete with others. In exceptional living, we compete with our purpose. So the closer we get to our purpose, we become exceptional in our living.
Oh, I like that. Zoe, I want to go back to something you said, and thank you so much for sharing. And we all know, Zoe, that you've coached Charlie along the way. So for all the women out there, yeah, you found your good thing, Charlie. Much favor, much favor. You're fresh, right? This was your intelligent choice.
As my praise, let me say, I always say that she's a product of my intelligent choice,
Yes.
but basically she in her intelligence found me too, uh, but I really honor and praise God for giving me a wife like Tony, and it has been a pleasure. Marriage has been wonderful because I think because I married right. So if you marry right and you marry someone who is learned in life, and who has wisdom, knowledge, and who who operate in understanding. I would say those are the keys of why our marriage is successful, even after 19 years. We've been in the 19 years that we've been married. We've been very happy in our marriage, and I become younger and younger, and she.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And she continues to be younger and younger because of the of the joy that we have in marriage. So don't even try and get married if you don't find that person who makes you tick, and who give you that joy, who actually compliment you, because as you know, we are all complete, but we complement each other because we are both 100 and 100, and that 100 and 100 makes a great 100. So we are not 50-50, we are 100-100, but that 100-100 is equals to 100.
That's so true, Charlie. I want to go back to something Xoli said in opening, and thank you, Xoli, for being a part today. But she talked about purpose and character, and being true, having a relationship with God first, who really helps you to discover the talents, the abilities, and the gifts that He placed in you. And even reading your introduction, Xoli, of how you navigated the skills that you've been given. You developed those skills. You went for further learning, and there's much more to her bio. But those gifts and skills made room for you. And Scripture says that when you find a man or woman who is diligent in their work, they will stand in the company of those who have great influence. And so your life has been a testament of that. And certainly my brother Charlie saw that and recognized, hey, as he said, this is certainly my intelligent choice. And Charlie, something you said that I think is important about purpose is it's not a competition, right? We're here to complement each other. This interconnectedness that God created humanity with is part of that in living a life. So you don't have to wonder what someone else is doing, but you stay focused on your purpose. And again, it's to complement the advancement, certainly of the kingdom, but also our influence and impact in our places and the world. So that actually leads into, you kind of jumped into it a little bit when you're talking about relationships, right? Married almost 20 years. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How do you work together? Because both of you work, with the consulting firm. You've worked in, hosting like Dr. Munroe when he came in Mama Ruth to South Africa, and when they travel throughout Africa, but other persons. You're the couple to call. How do you work together, and how do you do that? How do you find that person?
You wanna go?
Okay, so let me just get it there. We work together, and it is easy to do so because both of us are looking and working on the same vision for our family, for the ministry, and everything that we do. We both know what we are about. We're following the same vision. We're following the same steps, and it is easy for us to therefore work together because we are in the same line. We are in alignment, and we have the same values and the same principles. And at some point in time, we even had the same mentors. Dr. Myles and Ruth Munroe were our mentors for all those years. And we've seen how they worked together, how easy they made it to look, and how easy it was for them. So we learned that from them, and we practice it in our family. Everything that we do together. Even today, I said to him, I'm going to come even though my voice is not coming out, because I can no longer just do things on my own. I want to do things with him because it's always easy when he's with me and he's around.
Exactly. I'm listening and I'm thinking, is this my wife? Yes. In this plurality called marriage, where we are two, but basically what makes us one and what makes us do things together with ease is the fact that we have the same vision, and we gun into and hone into the same goal. And when the same vision and same goal and same plans and are in one house, you are definitely headed for a win. But a house divided against itself, Jesus said, it cannot stand. If the house is divided against itself, it will bubble down, it will fall, it won't stand the challenge of the weather, it won't stand the challenge, any other challenge that it gets from the outside. But when we are together, we find that, we tend to win. So I have learned in these 19 years to be able to give up certain things that just benefits me only. So in this institution called marriage, for you to be successful when you're in it, you must forget about the I and think about the we, because that is what makes us win. Because it would be easy if marriage was happening. It was something that you do by yourself. But you know what? Marriage is something that you do with someone else's mother, coming from that house, which is not your house, coming from that way of doing things, which is not your way of doing things. So when you come together, you rather be united. The only thing that can unite two people, it's really having the same vision. Let me also say that I'm reminded of how I proposed my wife. Remember how I proposed you? When I proposed my wife, when I proposed my wife, I didn't even, when we went out for that date, I had no flowers in my hands. I had only one thing in my hands, and that was the book, then my notepad that I had, which had my vision on paper and which had the plans that of where I'm going and the kind of a home that I dream about, the kind of a house that I dream about, the kind of children, the environment that is going to be created by the marriage that we are to create. Yes. That is what I sold that night, and when I was finished selling that, I said, Lady Xoli, do you want to go with me? And the reason why she's here today is because she said yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because basically you are the sum total of all the yeses and all the no's that you make in your life. So the most important answer to any question is yes or no.
Yeah.
And she's here because she said no to others and said yes to this one.
I'm glad you shared that, Charlie, because I remember we were in Namibia and we were at dinner and I asked, she was like, Charlie, how did you get Xoli? And I remember her sharing that you came not with all these, flowers and things, but you came in an authentic manner of yourself, but also well thought out, right? You had a vision for your life first. And I think that's important because sometimes, like you said, we look for someone else's vision to see if we can, if it works, but we need to have our own life vision. And, being a mentor or mentee with Dr. Munroe and Pastor Ruth, that certainly was, he told us, you need to have a life vision for yourself.
That's right.
Yes. And be confident in that before you get another person into your life. And with that, Charlie, you and Xoli do a lot of work with marriage, and you've even started. I think it's every August, at the end of August, right? One day I'm getting there. You do a marriage. You have to be married to go to the conference, but you do this. But I love that Xoli said that you do it together, and she shared that hearing you share your vision connected with her. And so I don't think, it's like, when you're knowing, you don't need to have a whole lot of things to say, maybe this is a good person, Xoli, you shouldn't, you'll know, like your spirit will know, and there'll be a peace about it. And the fact that you work together, Charlie, and I've seen you, as I said, both of you working together is refreshing to see that in marriage, and certainly an example. And you're mentoring now other young couples, as you were also mentored. You want to share a little bit about some of the marriage work that you're also doing there in South Africa?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know what? You know, I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying just now, and then answer the question on the marriage retreats. There is something called, Dr. Munroe taught us this. There is something called a catalyst vision. A catalyst vision, because some people might be asking themselves questions. You know, you came with your vision, and she bought into your vision. Yes, this is how it works. A catalyst vision is a vision which, you know, an individual has, but that vision comes to another vision, and that vision helps the other vision, and as it helps the other vision, it also finds its own place. So the same way it happened with my life with Dr. Munroe, I had my vision, which was aligned with his vision. So my vision could take place in his vision. So that is what we call a catalyst vision. And I think every couple must get it in terms of when we come together, let's put all these visions together and see what is the vision, which one is the catalyst vision on the visions that we have. And of course, husband as a leader must also, you know, must always be in the forefront in terms of your vision. When you can marry the two visions, I'm actually not saying that people must forget about their lives and just carry on with the other person's life. But I'm saying that it works better in marriage if you have that catalyst vision submitted to another vision, and then you chase that big vision with your catalyst vision. So that works very well, and we have seen it working very well. One of the things that we, of course, were concerned about is the status and state of marriage, not just around us here, but around the world. And that is why, you know, in 2013, we started talking to Dr. Myles and Mama Ruth about them having marriage retreats in South Africa. And we had, you know, our first one, which was the first and last, because that was in August of the 28th of August 2014, and then they will depart after 2 months of that first inaugural retreat. But we decided that we were not going to drop that because we also knew how close those retreats were to Mama Ruth's vision and passion, which is why, you know, it's to us it's part of the strong legacy of Mama Ruth, and that's why we continue with this every year, and every year without fail, except last year we didn't have because of COVID, but we have been, you know, having those retreats almost every year, and we have graduated those also into other mini retreats, like we will have couples come together even during the lockdowns. We have been going with couples to the mountains to do what do you call that where we walk? Hikes, you know, climbing the mountains and walking and having fun, and you know, talking with our spouses, and also having breaks where we teach on marriage in the middle of the hike, and we have seen many couples getting help through that. But of course, the legacy project, which is the African Leaders Marriage Retreat, that we have been doing, and we will also still do this year. And it has been a wonderful place for a hideout for couples, where the couples get refreshed and get retooled to win. Because in this game called marriage, you got to keep, you know, growing. You got to keep learning, because you can only, run your marriage based on the knowledge you have. Quality knowledge, quality relationship, marriage relationship. Less of quality, then there will also be less of quality marriage if you lack quality knowledge. So that is what we've been also been doing around the marriages. We counsel a lot of married couples, also those who are getting married. We have a room there here in our home where we, in the corner somewhere there, where we talk to couples, and that room I've seen a lot of couples come in and out, and they get coached, and we are so glad. Even now in our community, we have started the Kingdom Community South Africa in June last year, and we're having our first marriage is coming up now in September, and we're coaching even those ones who are coming up.
Yeah.
And we want to really build a new vibe in the world, which is about marriage, because marriage is a beautiful thing, and it's a great idea. Only God could have thought of it.
Absolutely. And Charlie, listening to you, there's so much to unpack, but I want to go back to something really that Xoli started when she talked about having the desire to have the mentors that you had. And then you talked about the catalytic vision, right? Having a vision that is catalytic. So this starts as one thing, and then it picks up. It's almost like the snowball that comes down the mountain. It gains as it moves along, it gets bigger. And that's what's happened to you in the marriage ministry since 2013. And so, well, yes, outside of COVID, but I've seen, it be kind of this large retreat, but now it's actually, as you said, there's a place in your home, right, where it gets to really help couples, more individually. And so again, it still has the same thread of marriage and relationship, but
Yes.
I love it because it's kind of like the ministry, right? The different fingers, the apostle, all the things. It all ties into the kingdom, right? So it's all about how can we build strong families? Well, that starts with strong marriages, the foundation. Yeah. And then I know you've also done work with training men, with mentoring young men and working with men, and Xoli, you have as well. Because like you said, Charlie, when you come together, right, you should come whole together. And that whole, scripturally, the Bible says that, yes, one could put 1,000 to flight, but two puts 10,000. And so coming together, building that strong relationship is so pivotal. But let's be honest, Charlotte, right? You've been married almost 20 years. It hasn't always been good times, right? It hasn't always been this bed of roses. What do you say to persons who, just as you said, there's been COVID, there's been loss, there's been setbacks, disappointments. What do you say to people who are trying to find themselves back on the road again and make meaning of what's happened? How do you come back?
Yeah, well, I would like to say that, even though we have gone through changes, and even though we have gone through mountains and we've crossed rivers through this, uncharted territory that we find ourselves in, God's plan about our lives and for our lives have not changed. The path that God has created for us is still there. All we need to do is to retrace our steps back to that path and believe God for his provision, because God is he's the only provider. He's the source. He's the only source that we have. So that kingdom faith that we need to have, we should never lose that faith. And when you exercise your faith towards retracing your steps back to the path that God has put you in, that will make you win. And remember what God is speaking, and God is speaking all the time. Remember, the Bible says, I think it's in the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 5, that the thoughts of the righteous are right. So whatever you're thinking of, as a righteous person, God won't allow you to think unrighteous things. So these big ideas and these ideas that God is giving you, do not rationalize them. Don't doubt what God is saying, because your thoughts are right. Believe in your thoughts. You know, for my fellow Africans who like to be prophesied upon, remember that you are your own prophet, and your mouth creates, and God uses your mind to create. So whatever God is saying to you, don't doubt it. Pursue that which God is has laid in your head and in your mind and through your ideas, because ideas are generators of of products, are generators of service, and God will speak to you, and He's speaking to you all the time through ideas. But the problem is that you are waiting for a prophet to come. I'm here to remind you that you are your own prophet. God is speaking to you. Don't rationalize His word to you. When He say things to you, take it and run with it, and you will thank me later.
You know, Xoli, I'm glad you talked about ideas, because I was going to kind of lead into this. You know, people think that all these great things, even the platform that we're utilizing today, happened in good times. And that's not where innovation happens. Innovation often happens in the lack, in the need,
Very true.
you know, the challenge, right? You know, David, and leaders emerge, right? We've learned this, that leaders, it is crisis that often calls to a leader. It calls to what's inside of us. So in the times that are setbacks, there's something calling. There's this voice that says, I've created you for more. I'm your father. You know, turn
Very,
to
very true.
me. Yeah.
Very, very true. You're hitting it right on the head. Because, I mean, look at Kingdom Community South Africa, for example.
Yes.
It was God, gave birth to that project in the middle of the pandemic.
Definitely in the middle of the pandemic, and nobody would have thought that it was going to grow and be what it is, and it was going to be launched. And it was really during the crisis time and during the pressure that we had to then start and do what God has told us to do. Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is amazing.
It's-
And look, we in the process, in the middle of the process now, to buy a 2.2 hectares, 5.5 acres of land right now in the middle of the frustration and what other people will call bad time. So in bad times, God works in all seasons.
Yes. All
He's the
seasons.
God of all seasons. So,
Yes.
so work with Him, listen to Him. You'll be surprised what you will see.
Absolutely. And we see this scripturally too, right, Charlie? That and Zoe, that we sow in times of famine and God blesses us, right? We dig
Yes.
wells, and maybe people who have the wrong intentions put dirt in our wells, but God clears the way and the path for us. So in this time, as you said, who starts a church in the middle of a pandemic? Who even looks to expand in the middle of what the world is saying is a bad time or a poor time to invest or make change? But that is the key to our faith. That is what makes us really stand out, right, Charlie? That makes us distinguishable, Zoe. That our faith in knowing that what God has told us, He's going to see it through, regardless of what's happening in the world.
Exactly. You are today. You are an example of that. You are today a talk show host in the middle of what some people will call it not favorable times.
Right.
But we serve a God of all seasons.
Absolutely.
He's God in winter, He's God in summer, He's God in spring, He's God in fall. So
Yes.
He's a God of all seasons. We must just, tap into that zone, and listen to what He's saying, because He's always saying something. And when we are surprised, guess what? God is not surprised.
That's right. He's not. It's because His thoughts and ways are above ours in all things. But you are both doing amazing work, yes, in the church, but also in the business sphere. Charlie, you wrote a book, you co-authored a book about diversity in the workplace. Both of you have worked extensively in government and in consulting. Share with us a little bit more about what prompted you to write this book and what the book is about.
By the way, that book, Black Sun, White Mother, was also, published and released during the lockdowns, 2020, and it is something that God has laid in my heart. The idea of different races working together and different personalities, people from different backgrounds, people from different tribes working together, because God has created us all differently, and He created us differently for a reason and for a purpose. There are certain things that God didn't put in you, but He put it in someone, in a place where your culture would not even accept. So, but we got to realize that God is a God of purpose, and God is a God of diversity. He is the one who created, diverse people. So diversity is one of those, aspects of life which all of us must learn to manage. And the reason why there's so much hatred and so much wars in the world is because this creature called humanity or human beings, have not learned that God is a God of purpose, and He purposed all of us to be around. And also, there is no lack. Even the war between Russia and Ukraine, these are wars which are caused because people always believe that there is shortage. They always believe that there's not enough to go around, but it's not true. God who created the world, He created all the resources for all men, and He is not about to run out. But when we understand that all of us who were created by God, and we have some value to add to one another, we will value diversity. So that book, Black Sun, White Mother, was actually written to help, diverse people, more especially in the workplace. It talks about workplace diversity. How do I work with people who are different from me? These are people that, I had so many stories about as I was growing up. These are people that I have so much prejudice against, and so much stereotypes against. But how do I work with these people without thinking that my tribe and my race and my culture is superior? Because there is no such thing called a superior culture or superior race or superior tribe. All of us have something that we can learn from each other. So that book is written for that. And of course, my newest one is a book on managing diversity. Managing diversity is the one that I did. The one that I've just done now, coming out actually in the next few weeks, is a book that I wrote based on the experiences of working with Dr. Myles for over 25 years, learning so much from him, watching him under pressure, talking to him offline, and outside the pulpit and outside the masses. The things that I've learned, how we met. People ask me all the time, how did you meet with Dr. Munroe? You coming from Venda in South Africa, Limpopo, in the remote area. How did you meet with him? How was the relationship like? What did you do together? What did you think about different things? That book, it's a packaged life history that I thank God I was able to pen that, because it is able to bring a lot, about Dr. Munroe, about myself, about us working together, about the sacrifices that he made, about the sacrifices that I made for us to be able to work together as I bring my catalyst vision to his greater vision, and be able to introduce him to a lot of different spaces. you, April, were able to join with your family with us to some of those trips. I remember vividly the trip to Botswana. We met Rema Sire there, who used to be the former president. And then we moved on to Swaziland and visited the king. I remember that dinner that we had with the king that night. And those are all the opportunities that, with my catalyst vision of being an organizer and being a gifted administrator and a gifted collaborator and a combiner of gifts, which I was following my own vision and purpose, but that became a blessing to the life of Dr. Munroe. So we worked together that way, and our lives would impact so many lives. Each time he's speaking to masses, or he's impacting a president, or he's impacting a king, or a business person, I always knew that I'm part of it. Why? Because I am working behind the scenes, on the ground to make things happen. Going to a country, 6 months before we even visited with Dr. Munroe to prepare the place, to prepare the way. Working very much like John the Baptist, preparing the way. So
It's all in the book. Don't give it away now.
Yeah, so all
It's all in
that,
the book.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So all that is in the book, and in the book I also have some photos which you haven't seen before anywhere. I've got a one special one, very special picture there, which of Dr. Munroe, which you haven't seen before, because I know that's me, my wife, and Dr. Munroe. We have seen it before, talking about selfless living, and a part of that will be there, and the stories and the pictures, the background on a lot of different things. So that book is coming out. It's called My Life and Times with Myles Munroe.
Oh, wow. We're looking forward to that, Charlie.
So this is a kind of a book that
Make sure I get it signed. We're looking forward to that. But Charlie, something that you said about in diversity, again, in the workplace, but also in kingdom space. South Africa has 11 official languages, and it reminds me, when you talk about the importance of working together, of something that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, that people hate each other because they fear each other, but they fear each other because they don't know each other, and they don't know each other because they don't communicate. And so sometimes it takes just, the act of communication. And that's something that, in diplomacy we work for. How do we get people to the table to even have a dialogue? And as you said, being there in Southern Africa and traveling with Dr. Munroe, to see him go from an early business breakfast, right, to a press conference, to meeting with founding fathers and heads of state, to then going to a church service in the evening, right? All these different environments, diverse as they were, he was the same person, but he was able to be agile and adaptable without losing his authentic self in these different environments. And so that we've seen both of you, Charlie and Xoli, also be able to operate in, because that anointing, that gift that you are around, right? Scripturally, if you walk with wise men, you become wise, and women as well. And so we can see that in your life, and you're continuing to travel and continuing to prepare the way for those who are yet to come. So this has been just an amazing conversation, and I hope everyone who's watching will please follow Charlie and Xoli. There are their handles there for their Instagrams. And Charlie, I can't believe the time has passed. Xoli, this has been so
because we're just getting started. It's just getting started. Engine is just getting warmer and warmer, and I'm afraid to know that time is gone.
I know, but I will say again, thank you so much for being a part of today's session. And before we go, any closing remarks or thoughts you'd like to share with our audience, please do.
Well, I think it is a beautiful thing to, first of all, discover who you were born to be, and that you do by being, by by cultivating this relationship with God, being a kingdom citizen. If you place your life under the leadership of God and become a kingdom citizen, there's no telling how far you can go. And I think in the interest of diversity we talked about, if you get a revelation of who humans are, if you can just get a revelation of who humans are, you will not avoid humans. You will find that you wanna talk more and more with humans. Why? Because you know that hidden in everyone, it's a image and the likeness of God. So every human are so important, and that is the kind of mindset that we live with, and that is why we find that even when doing ministry, we do life with people, and we find it's easy to do life with people when you value them. So value humans, and you will be amazed and surprised on what you can get from humans. The moment you know them, the moment you open up and get closer to them. So get closer to the image and the likeness of God, which is mankind, and you will be amazed how your life will turn out to be.
My ones is just to say, love one another, be kind, and keep on praising the Lord. Thank you so much for this opportunity and time. Please send our greetings to your mom, dad. We love them so much. We love your family, and we love you too, Dr. April, for the opportunity as well. Amen.
Thank you both, Charlie and Xoli. I love it, Charlie. We'd often hear Xoli, Papa Munroe say, reduce everyone to a human. Not because we're less than with their titles or accomplishments, but because he recognized that at the core, we are human beings that want to belong, to beget, to be a part, and to be appreciated and valued. And so certainly I hear all of this influence and mentorship through the both of you. Thank you for serving your gift to the world, for finding that catalyst vision together. And I know the future is bright, that what God has planned for both of you, not just in your ministry, not just in your workplace, but certainly in your family, is big. And so we just thank you for being a part of today. Thank you for sharing your authentic selves. Again, for those of you who are watching, you can follow Charlie and Xoli. Make sure you get the new book and the old one as well. And who would have thought the pandemic would still bring us even closer? So thank you again for being a part. I'm so proud of the both of you. Just glad to call you, honored to call you brother and sister. Thank you so much.
We love you so much, and we're wishing the best of the best of the best for you, April, Ripley, and your family. We love you so much, and we miss you badly.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Likewise, thank you. Today, you heard, folks, our very special guests, Charlie and Xoli Masala, all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share this broadcast, and certainly follow our special guests on their Instagram handles. Again, it's always our pleasure, our privilege to come, to inform, to inspire, and to ignite the greatness that lies within each of you. God bless you, and have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening.